Grapes shouldn't need two men to carry them, unless the land is daring you to believe it. At the vineyard's edge, fruit hung like purple moons. The spies stood underweight. They couldn't measure with courage alone, and the hills smiled with a secret. They had crossed deserts that teach bones arithmetic. Sand had tried to replace their stories with subtraction. But this place, this promise that tasted like honey and thunder, refused to be counted the old way. The first man reached up and cut a cluster that made his knife reconsider its career. He laughed, then swallowed it because laughter attracts attention. From the ridge beyond the vines came movement like doorframes walking. Men, taller than arguments, patrolled walls that did not deserve such guardians. Their shadows bent vineyards into prayers. The spies flattened themselves into leaves and learned the taste of dust that wasn't theirs. At night they whispered, "We are grasshoppers," one said, expecting agreement. The other looked at the fruit sleeping on the pole between their shoulders and felt its stubborn promise. "Perhaps," he answered softly, "we are seeds." They watched fathers with ankles like tree roots lift gate bars as if harvesting them. They watched women weave rope with shoulders built by pulling cities into being. They watched children leap trenches that had taught foreign armies humility. The land was crowded with a rumor called Anak. The spies measured their breaths, memorized the way moonlight insisted on touching everything, and slid back through the hills, carrying proof that should have settled the question. But crowds do not eat evidence. Crowds eat panic. When they returned to their people, desert still in their hair and moonlight still on their hands, the crowd reached for fear because fear is cheap and comes in bulk. "Giants," the first spy said, and lost the crowd with the first syllable. "Walled cities," the second added, and watched faith bargain with itself. The two who had laughed in the vines said different words. "Yes, they are tall," one said. "So is the mercy that brought us here." "Yes, their walls are high," the other said, "but so is the appetite of a future that has been promised to our children." They spoke like men who had eaten honey while being watched by danger, and learned that sweetness can look back and win. Stones considered their options. The crowd lifted hands, not for worship. The night swelled with the sound of a people negotiating with their fear and losing. The two stood inside a small circle of stubbornness and did not step out. Judgment does not always arrive with soldiers. Sometimes it arrives as time, an extra 40 years to think about your choices. The wilderness opened its mouth to receive the generation that loved panic more than fruit. The two men who had said yes kept their strength the way some people keep a song, by singing it even when no one claps. When the years finally repented and the people turned back toward the edge of vineyards they had once abandoned, the two returned older, but not smaller. One asked for a hill crawling with the sons of Anak. His hands itched for work the way a farmer's do when a field dares him to plant. They climbed. The giants met them with old smiles that remembered cowardice and expected it again. Swords learned new owners. The ground, pleased, decided to cooperate. By sundown, the hill had changed its mind about who it belonged to. They planted vines where fear had nested. Grapes learned new names. Children ran between rows, pulling leaves over their faces as masks and pretending to roar at each other like legends turned into games. At harvest, clusters again bent poles the way promises bend time. Grapes shouldn't need two men to carry them, unless the land is daring you to believe it. At the vineyard's edge, fruit still hangs like purple moons. When you pass, if you listen right, you can hear old footsteps retreating and someone laughing softly in the leaves.